Meeting order. And board of Finance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Richard. Here. Adrian. Here. Yes. Ernie. Here. Quorum. Approval of minutes from regular meeting held on May 21st, 2019.
On the minutes, I have some corrections. On page 2, Nieto was spelled wrong. On number 9. And then on page 9, Public Works, cut weeks, not weeks.
Those are the only two?
Yes, that's the only two I found.
Make a motion to approve the minutes with the corrections from the regular meeting held on May 21st, 2019.
I second that motion.
Motion by Adrian, a second by Juanita. Roll call, Richard.
Four.
Adrian.
Four.
Juanita.
Or
Ernie.
Four.
Approval of tonight's agenda for May 4th. The only correction we have is to remove item number 17. That address was actually inputted wrong. And we feel that we should take it to the next meeting just to give the opportunity not to, you know, for the correct agenda to go out with the correct address.
1917.
Right, so, and that's the only correction.
No. You're warm. I'm fine. You guys cold? He's still.
Make a motion to approve the agenda, removing item 17 for June 4th, 2019.
Second.
Motion by Adrian, second by Richard. Roll call, Richard.
Four.
Adrian.
Four.
Juanita.
Or
Ernie.
Four.
All right, moving on, approval of beer sales during Jubilee Festival at B Street Market parking lot on June 29th. Fall system.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I'm here to ask for your approval on two items, and they're very similar. The first one is on behalf of B Street Market. Nancy would like to do something that she's done once before, identical to something she's done once before. She'd like to have Sierra Blanca come this time during Jubilee, and this would be a beer garden on the 29th, set up from 11 in the morning to 5 at night. This would be set up in her parking lot. Would you like me to go ahead and talk about the second one too, or? Okay. I'd be happy to take any questions about the beer garden at B Street Market.
What's the time again?
It'll be from 11 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. Beer sales will stop at 4.
Is it gonna be, you have to stay in that area?
Yes.
Until you're done drinking?
Right, so she's done this once before with Sierra Blanca. Some of you might have been there. The setup was a kind of a square surrounded by barricades and very prominent signs saying, you know, buy your beer here, you cannot leave with beer.
And this is during Jubilee. Jubilee is gonna be at the Mustang Square, as you guys know. So we're walking distance from most of our patrons that day.
We're gonna have a van from the parking lot also.
Okay.
And there will be food.
I'm for it, but what happens if someone leaves the beer garden? What happens then? With a beer?
That's a good question. I know that when I've attended in the past, there had been plenty of people watching and saying, oh, sorry, you can't leave. So that happened there at B Street, and similar things have happened when we've had events like that at the MAC building. People have just been very watchful, and we've made sure to say, sorry, you can't go beyond this point with that beer, with that wine.
Last year, Nancy hired Guy Cope, and he's a persuasive presence. So when he stops somebody, they stop.
I just wondered on the liability of someone walking off with a bear, you know, as long as we're not liable for that. I like it, I think it's a good idea, just wondered about that. That's all I got. Chief?
Well, normally the state investigations division that runs the alcohol beverages, that if they do require that you have somebody posted at the entrance to prevent that. So, I mean, you can make every effort to stop them, but if they refuse, I mean, you can't interfere. I mean, that's when you have to have some type of security there as far as police, because then they go onto the street, they're drinking,
Right.
they get into their car, DWI, it comes back to you as the provider. They can come back on you.
Right.
So.
Any questions?
No more. I'll make a motion of approval for beer sales during the Jubilee Festival at the B Street Market parking lot on June 29th.
Okay, motion by Ernie, a second by Richard, roll call Richard. Adrian. Juanita.
Four.
All right, so moving on, approval of beer and wine sales during Sunflower Festival at the MMAC building.
All right, thank you. And again, this is almost identical to something we did a year ago during the Sunflower Festival. So I'm asking for approval for 2 days. On August 23rd, there'll be beer and wine sales inside the building from 5 to 8. Sales will actually stop at 7, but the event will be from 5 to 8. And then the next day, there will be beer and wine sales in the garden area, which is all enclosed behind the MAC building, and that will be from 10 to 4, with the alcohol sales stopping at 3. And just like last year, we will be working with Montner Police, providing security to address those very same issues.
I didn't catch that beginning time.
On Friday, it'll be from 5 in the evening to 8, with sales stopping at 7. And on Saturday, it'll be from 10 in the morning to 4. Some of you might remember last year we had TRC Brewing and Horales Wines. It's going to be almost the same, except that TRC Brewing is going to be replaced by Sierra Blanca, the same brewery that's going to be doing Jubilee. And I did want to mention both Carrie Jarvis from Horales Wines and Tasha from Sierra Blanca. They wanted me to mention to the council that they're excited to come back to Mount Air.
And so I told Dennis to make a form that anyone requesting police security that's off-duty police security would pay at a rate of $35 per hour per officer. And I just wanted you guys to be aware of that and be okay with that. Basically what that does is that covers time and a half for any officers that we have. So they would pay the town that amount, that would then go to the police officers on working the event that are off-duty.
So they're off duty but on duty? No, they'll be on duty but dedicated to that.
Right, they're not, yes.
Or they'll still be off the clock for the time of Mount Air. But,
Unless there's an emergency. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what.
All right,
Any questions?
questions? I'll make a motion of approval for beer and wine sales during the Sunflower Festival to Mount Mountain Arts Council building on August 23rd and 24th.
I second it.
Okay, motion by Ernie, a second by Juanita, roll call, Richard,
Four.
Adrian, Juanita,
Four.
Ernie? Alright,
All right, thank you. And one last quick thing, you have this in front of you, this is for an event coming up on Father's Day, June 16th, for the Friends of Salinas Parkway Missions. And we would love to have you all there, so please consider yourselves invited and spread the word.
thank you.
Thanks.
Alright, so moving on, approval of lodger's tax funding. So the lodger's tax board met on May 29th and have approved the following request. $3,000 for the Sunflower Festival, that's used for advertising and such. $2,500 for the Gonzalo concert that we are doing free admission to at the park on July 28th. $700 for porta potties, it's the porta potty trailer that we park at the Jubilee, so that way there's more bathrooms and stuff for people. And then $2,000 for an updated sound system. We need a better sound system for events, and so.
15's powered.
So Dennis is ordering that, so once you guys give approval of that. These were all approved by lodger's tax. We were about to set to lose some money if we didn't spend it, so this is kind of some of the stuff that we decided to spend. I appreciate they actually called me about the Gonzalo concert, because if you guys notice, I put ticket prices on that, and we're gonna sell tickets to that. And they called and they said, hey, we have some money, let's do that free event, it brings people here, so we do it, or they approve it. So now I'm bringing it to you to approve. And please say yes, so that I advertising.
Well, you gotta re-advertise.
Will there be a high prison of police officers there?
There will be, so I already talked to Chief about it, we are gonna work with, we will have officers there, we're gonna work with Torrance County to have a few officers there, and then we're gonna try to get a state police officer there.
Because I don't want the same thing that happened at the last time happen again.
I think the only complaint we'll get into 911 is probably Michelle, that they're blocking her parking lot,
My driveway.
her driveway.
Parking lot.
Are you, expanding the dog bill, remember that? Is that,
Gonzalo?
yeah, I mean, is that, did we
So,
talk about that?
what, we can talk about this too?
Gonzalo? No,
The
no.
incident?
Oh, no, we didn't talk about, no. No, that was like last minute, no, that was like a last minute thing, and I kind of did it like this, like.
Well, that's, yeah, I'm just kinda curious.
I had several requests to bring in Al Hurricane.
Yeah.
Al Hurricane is a lot more expensive than Gonzalo, so we had to stick with Gonzalo, so, yeah,
So that's gonna be part,
the park. The
all.
reason for that is because the Soul Center is booked that weekend,
Is that like what are the hours on that,
8 to 12.
8 to 12 at night?
Who's doing sound for that? Is he doing?
He brings everything, he brings sound, lighting, everything.
We don't have budgets.
Well, I mean, you could, if you wanted to like expand, I mean, have some extra, but,
Oh, Hurricane did bring lights that one time.
Yeah, I know.
So you're saying tickets are free?
tickets are free. We're gonna be asking for donations there, at the door for the fireworks show, but I mean, if you don't give nothing, you don't give nothing, if you give, you give. I mean, so. Yep, 100% free.
At there at the park, we have enough electricity that we're not gonna blow out the neighborhood.
Taxes are
Yeah.
I was gonna say that right after the town house. It'll depend on how much wattage they're running, but when we had the chili cook-off for Jubilee, 10 years ago, we blew it after about 6 crock pots.
Well,
kept triple
that's not
fees.
including the new, what do you call it, did we get all that stuff? All the
Oh, yeah,
electricity?
yeah, on your side, yeah, way up there.
Yes,
Oh,
we
yeah,
got
yeah,
all
we
new
should-
electricity
Yeah.
boxes. So that's where we're gonna set them up, is by the electricity boxes. They'll be set up kind of catacorner-ish, facing like that way, so that way there's like room for like everything kind of thing. I don't know if you guys get how I mean catacorner, but. Kind of like where, you know, remember where the stage was set up a couple years ago at Jubilee? Kind of like that, but just probably a little bit backwards, where they'll be facing towards the park. And we'll have bathrooms opened up. And all that kind of stuff. The only hard part really is gonna be moving the stage to over here the next morning, 8 in the morning.
You're actually doing it in the park, I thought you were doing it in the fenced area, okay.
No, we're gonna do it in the park. People, some people asked if we're gonna get like rent a dance floor. No, I mean, I don't think it's that bad where people are gonna like.
I'm doing that, I good.
What are you gonna do? Do it at the tennis courts and be down here on top of the skate park? So, I think it'll be fun. I think a lot of people are gonna come. We got a lot of lights and shares, so I think it's gonna be.
He's well done.
Yeah, you know. And we
What?
and Moriarty has agreed to, on their new LED display, to advertise on that, so we're gonna have them advertise on that.
Oh, that's cool. So that's Beloit by chance or no?
I haven't talked to
Or
Bill.
real communities?
No, I haven't talked to him. I see Ted on a pretty regular basis, so that's fine.
Oh, from Moriarty?
Mm.
I can ask Mark if you want, but we just advertise it for three more people this way. Mark Gwynn is the mayor there, their communities.
Oh, I just met him from Saturday.
Yeah, he hired me for the railroad years ago, a nice guy. But I'm sure he wouldn't mind,
Yeah, that's good.
And maybe we can get on the school,
Mhm.
Mikey.
yeah, that'd be good.
Cool, any other questions on anything else? Updated sound system, just so that we can have a better system, hopefully wireless mics. So that I can walk around and not like trip over everything. Porta potties, that's, I would do that every year. And then Sunflower Festival, the 3,000 for Sunflower Festival, what do you guys usually, advertising, right?
Well, it's advertising and porta potties.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you normally use 2,500?
What's that?
Do you normally get 2,500?
You know, it's varied from year to year. I think last year it was, yes.
We have more for them this year, 3,000.
Yeah, if you can kind of start upping it every year, that would help Sunflower
Yeah,
grow.
we've actually hired a professional marketer for, well, for all of our events, so we're hoping to really do even more marketing this year because she really knows how to do it.
Good.
So, yeah.
Cool. Any more questions?
Will that PA system go on the community building?
The PA system would be mobile, so it would be for like a Jubilee, it'd be for any events inside the Stall Center and like that.
It'll be self-powered, so we can just take one if we want to, or we can take two of them.
Any questions? Motion?
Make a motion to approve the lodger's tax recommendation for the request for LT fund expenditures.
Motion by Adrian, a second by Richard, roll call Richard.
Or
Adrian?
Four.
Juanita?
Four.
Ernest? Alright, approval to auction ambulance. This is a request by Carol Glade, that she has made before. We have that second ambulance that's basically inoperable. Chief had an idea of making it kind of like a little command center for the PD, or public works kind of thing for like emergencies, but the cost of insurance, the cost of getting it back working and all that just wasn't there as far as using it for that. So we're asking permission to auction off the ambulance. I would talk to Carol after it's approved and see what day she wants to do it. We'll probably just start bidding at, $50 and then work the way up.
Which ambulance is that?
It's the older one.
So we have an option off the other one we talked about first?
No, this is,
Oh, that's
yeah,
it.
The
this is,
same one?
yeah,
Is
the
this
same
one
one.
that's run? Does it, I mean, does it run?
No, it's, yeah, no, this is the one I still wanna say that had like major problems, like they were using a flashlight as a light inside of it.
What, motor doesn't run or anything?
I can't remember. I'm gonna say, do you remember what she said the last time? She's not here today.
You say what started?
I'm
Oh,
gonna
what
say it
did
didn't
start?
run.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it didn't start.
Okay, that's why I just wondered, because if we were at $50 and it was a running motor, you start a little more, but okay.
And I don't know what, I mean, I can't even guess what someone would buy this, or if they would, I mean, I have no idea. Unless they're trying to start a taco truck, I have no idea. So, any questions on that? Any further questions? Motion?
I make a motion to auction off ambulance.
Yeah, that's it. I'll second it.
Okay, a motion by Richard, a second by Ernie. Roll call, Richard?
For.
Adrian? Juanita?
Four.
Ernie? All right, so moving on to the abatements, resolution 2019-18, abatement of 203 South Roosevelt. That's a picture of the building. So obviously, you guys know we're trying to be proactive in eliminating crime, cleaning up the town, and keeping our children safe. We have several abatements on this agenda. Code enforcement, Steve Bernauer has been working diligently on getting these abated, and I appreciate your work very, very much, Steve. And so this is 203 South Roosevelt. This would be a knockdown or a floor-up?
Knockdown.
This would be a total knockdown. So the way that we're gonna kind of do this is Public Works would knock these down. Obviously, they don't have the manpower to do it, to do these like all in 1 month, so it would be over, a couple of months' time, possibly once a month with most of these, so, we'll start with the worst ones and kind of just go on after we, I think we have some scheduled, right? What's the first one?
500 South. Ripley?
You have a permit, you have a building, you have a demolition permit on 500 South Roosevelt by, Iowa Properties.
Roosevelt or Ripley?
Roosevelt.
Okay.
500 South Roosevelt is the demo permit that we have in hand.
And this one, we never got a hold of the owners, or did they contact you at all, or nothing?
No, not on this one. I did call the phone number that's listed on that sign right there. No return call.
They don't want to,
Do we know who it's listed for on record, or?
yeah.
Does it?
Right here on the page, if you look at you.
This one does?
Yeah, all of them do.
Hold on. 203 South Roosevelt, Herbie Childers, or Franco Ruiz.
Herbie's still alive? Herbie's not alive.
No, it's still in his name though. And this was sold at the tax auction last year. So the person that's selling it stands to make a profit or lose a few $100.
Any questions? Any questions from the audience?
I have one question. There's a letter attached to this. Who designated for them to go around and get
That was-
paperwork?
That was me. I went ahead and pulled the trigger because I figured we needed an independent verification of whether we should knock it down or not. Because if we don't, people could say, hey, you knocked it down because of the mayor doesn't like me or something like that. So I wanted an independent opinion on that. And so,
For the record, I love everybody.
yeah, I'm just using it as a general example. I just didn't want the political ramifications of what we're doing because we're teetering that line of violating their constitutional right to keep a trashy property. So I wanted to create a sense of independence from our decisions. So this general contractor happened to be available, and in fact, we met him with the gazebo project. So I figured we'd give it a shot and just give him a try. So that was my decision.
Not that I have anything against this individual, but I feel that it should be like
Opened up.
open up to
Yeah.
other individuals, not just,
Well, we have gotten a quote from, where was it, Edgewood, and it was 500?
Edgewood?
Or,
No.
what was that?
No, originally Edgewood told me to contact Mike Lenz, but from the CID, but he retired. And in fact, the other guy from CID retired as well, the building inspector. And so we weren't sure when we can get a new building inspector to come in here and take a look at all these properties. So the only GB, and they have to have ideally it would be a engineer or somebody from CID or somebody with a general contractor's license. So there's only four people I'm aware of. This individual who's in the audience here, Jess, Ed von Klutzman just picked up a GB2, which is a residential, and he can pull demo permits on residential, not commercial stuff. And then the fourth person was Petty Mills. And he's pretty busy with big projects, so I just kind of went with the four that were available. And actually, at the time, Ed didn't have his GB2 yet. He just had a couple weeks ago.
That's my only thing is, if in the future, not just go, because
Oh, yeah.
this individual did it, that I think it should be
Across the board.
across the
Yeah,
board,
we'll
not,
get everybody.
not a repeater every time.
Yeah, we can do that.
That's my, not my concern, or that it should be publicly
Yes.
made.
How does the owner of the property know what's about to happen?
We send them letters, we post it in the Independent. Basically, the town has to do their due diligence in notifying this person, and there are certain things that fall into that criteria, and we've done all of that. And if they don't respond, they don't respond. Normally what happens is if they do respond, we work with them, and we say, okay, we give them a time period to start working on stuff. If we see that they don't, then we bring it back to them. So that- in these cases right here, or in this particular case, they did not respond at all. Yes.
Let me just say that, as a property owner here, that this is some of the best stuff that's happened in quite a while, and this is excellent. The next 5 ones of these that your guys are gonna vote on, and it's a really, really, really good start. And there's a few left after this, but
Yeah.
this is really great that you're moving on this.
Thank you.
Are you gonna pull in a dumpster for each one of them? Because
Yes.
that's what got that other thing started.
Yes, correct. Yes.
And then it benefited the town too, because.
Right.
Shoot that for
Yeah, yes, yeah, it's the same process, basically we order from Estancia Valley Solid Waste, the giant thing, then we just have to make sure our public works is ready to go in at that time. So we order it whenever they're scheduled to go in, they put everything in that, they can pick it up, and then we do it. So. And all of this gets charged to the individual, including the $250 for the independent verification. All that gets charged to the county for that property. So it all gets a lien on their property for all the amounts, including, what do you call it?
Demo costs.
Yeah, the demo cost,
Legal publication costs.
yeah, everything. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion for approval of resolution 2019-18, abandonment of 203 South Roosevelt.
I'll second it.
Yeah, motion by Richard, a second by Adrian, roll call Richard.
For
Adrian?
For.
Juanita? Ernie? Next one, approval of resolution 2019-19, abatement of parcel on corner of Wilson and US 60. This one is one of my, I don't know if it's my favorites, but this one is one that I've been talking about for a while now. In fact, I think when we drove around, that was one of the first ones I took you to, was this one right here. Because it's the first thing you see when you're coming into town from Estancia, the very first thing. And, you have that really nice, sign, what do you call that, mile marker, that marker sign, and then you have that right there, so. This one is, as you can see, right there on the corner of Wilson and Highway 60.
And speaking of the system working, this was on the abatement list from last year with our previous code enforcement officer. And he did get into communication with her, and they were negotiating with her attorneys, and they were gonna donate it to the town. Then it changed to a sale, then all of a sudden, all communications cut off. And then Bernauer reached out to her and tried to get her, and no communication. So we really worked with this person, and they just dropped it.
I'm excited for this one, just because I think, coming into Estancia, coming in from Estancia, it's a horrible thing to look at, so. I like it. Any questions on that? for Steve or for Jeff.
So you've just never gotten nothing back from these people, either the letter expired, did you ever get in contact with, did anybody ever get in contact back with you, anyone of yours?
No, most of them, they were certified mail that went out, and they did receive the mail, signed receipt on the mail. Some of them didn't, we didn't get a signed receipt for. This one here, I don't remember if that was signed receipt, but, all the properties that we have listed here tonight, no response.
Just wondered if some people, try to get a plea or not,
Make a motion to approve resolution 2019-19, abatement of the partial corner of Wilson and US 16.
Second.
And motion by Adrian, a second by Juanita, roll call, Richard?
Four.
Adrian? Four. Juanita? Four. Ernie? Four. All right, moving on, approval of resolution 2019-20, abatement of 604 South Summit. And this one is, where, Steve, remind me, I know it's on Summit, but
It's right
up
above
there?
the hill.
South of Highway.
Isn't it gone? Haven't I seen it disappear?
It's by 7th Street. It's on the corner of
So
7th
it's
and
that
7th.
way? Yes, it's across the bridge that way.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's right before.
Black Plague.
Oh, the Black Plague, when
Remember
it
the
was-
video of the Black Plague?
Yes, and it's right there before you go into Grand Clear Estates,
Yeah.
to that
This woman died there, she had bubonic plague 10 people lived there. She had a bunch of money. The last person to die in New Mexico. Bubonic plague.
Gotta wear special suits.
It's like a tiny house.
Any questions? So moved.
Make a motion to approve of resolution 2019-20, abatement of 604 South Summit.
Okay. Yeah, motion by Juanita, second by Richard, roll call, Richard?
Four.
Adrian? Juanita?
Four.
Ernie?
Four.
All right. This next one, why did that move out?
Oh, I caught it before I sent out the agendas, but I already packaged
I
yours.
see. Okay, sorry, that's only my agenda. Approval resolution 2019-21, abatement of 210 North Forest. This one is, what's the long street right there?
That's Beal.
Yakima.
Beal? Or
Yakima.
Yakima?
The lowest one is Beal, then top one is Yakima.
Okay.
Because that's elementary school, right?
The one that's right there in the front is Forest.
Yeah, Forest and Corbett, and then Beal.
Oh, yeah, that is the school. All right.
So how's it listed in our, is it listed as 610 or is it?
I think it's listed, then I think he typed in the thing on mine only. It's listed as 210 North Forest.
I would say it's 210.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, 210 North Forest, Peggy and Ronnie Watts.
Actually, when we first got married. Can knock it down? Knock it down. Yeah.
Contact with owners on this one, huh?
They received the letter, no response.
Any questions on this one?
Are these all knockdowns?
Yes.
Part of the roof structure's missing, the floor's missing, walls are falling out because the roof structure's not there to support the exterior walls. And it's a little over a block away from the elementary school, which is a hazard, and a couple blocks away from the park. Not a good situation.
How's the wiring?
How's the wiring?
Minimal.
Outstanding.
But it has good air conditioning.
Yes, it does.
It's well vented.
His home is-
Questions or motion?
Make a motion to approve, resolution 2019-21, abandonment of, 210 North Forest.
I'll second.
Yeah, motion by Richard, a second by Adrian. Roll call, Richard.
Four.
Adrian.
Four.
Juanita.
Four.
Arnie.
Or,
All right, and finally, we have approval of resolution 2019-22, abatement of 323 South Limit. This is the fire that happened last year at Dorothy and Jim Green's house, over there by the bus barn. Contact with them,
No response.
no response. Mhm.
You can go knock it down?
we have the address right on them?
Well, we have the address of the county, and that's what we're supposed to use.
It's weird.
And surely it would be the right address because they get their tax documents, they get property information. So everything that the county has, that's what we use.
They signed for the letter.
Oh, they did?
Oh, yes.
So, and they signed for the letter.
There was an address posted out front on that one also, 323 South.
I mean, they've been telling, maybe we can try to make personal, like, contacts. I mean, they have their business right behind there, so I was wondering if you could try to talk to them there.
No.
I did one time with Rose, Rose, Romero. Well, maiden name, Lovato, no, yeah. In the letter, what's the letter say when we sent these, just to, that they're, is there, your house gonna get them all, knocked down, or was it
No,
safe?
what it does is it quotes the
Statute?
ordinance violations, and it says you have 60 days to correct the problem. And then it also has my phone number in there where they can contact me. I didn't bring a copy of it.
No,
here,
just
but-
kind of
But
generalizing.
it's got all that information. It's you know, it's requesting them to do something, but they have 60 days to actually start working on the property, or contact me
Mhm.
and work things out.
Right. And like with Rose, we ended up contacting Rose directly, or you ended up contacting her, and then she contacted me and she said, that's not my house, I don't care what you do with it, so.
Right.
It was kind
Oh,
of.
we've got to at least talk to her,
Right.
yeah. I just want, like.
So I think that's, I mean, like in that case, that's probably why she didn't respond, because she probably just like, who cares? But then we did contact her and she said that it was belonged to the bank, and she had nothing on file for it, so.
Yeah, I think her issue was she didn't want to be charged for it because it wasn't supposed to be hers no more or
Right.
something like that. But I just wondered on the greens, because like you said, their business is right back there. And it's a little unlike them to, just to not respond, but they signed the letter. You know, what do you do?
And this one isn't one that we're gonna demolish immediately, so if
Do we want to reach out one more
if
time?
you feel, well, I think if you guys feel like you guys should reach out, I mean, we've done our due diligence with the town, so we're not gonna do any more than what we've already done. If you feel as a counselor that you wanna go and talk to them personally, you have every right to do that.
Maybe just to let them know, hey, this is, what we're doing is knocking homes down, and this one could be on the list to, and,
Well, this one is on the list.
yes, so
Approved.
just, let them know, it's on the list to be knocked down.
Yeah, yeah, if you wanna do that, you're more.
I mean, there's
welcome to
nothing
do that.
left, but it's just odd, then
Yeah, it's probably the one.
it's just,
If we do that, it defeats the purpose of the due diligence that's required by the state and by city ordinances. If we contact these individuals after they've been served with proper notice, then we're gonna set a precedence, and we gotta deal with everybody else.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say.
We gotta keep with the ordinance
Who did it,
that you
Rose?
guys enacted, and we have to enforce those ordinances. They're given plenty of time to respond, they're given plenty of time to correct their deficiencies, and when they fail to do so, we have to act, because those are the ordinances that you guys impose, and we have, it deters crime. These are homes that catch on fire, and people are going in there, like we had a fire just this Saturday on abandoned homes. They're a nuisance to the public health, so, if the owners don't wanna do anything, then we can't force them, if they, but you have the ordinance already in effect saying that you must do this within the time frame, and we have to keep that unless you change the ordinance.
And, I mean, they signed for it, so they obviously know, I mean, this isn't like they don't know, so.
keep bringing up Rose. Has Rose ever got a letter that we're going?
She did at the time.
Yeah, she did.
She did at the time, and then we did this. So we went through this, we came to council, we approved the demolition of it, and then you contacted Rose. Rose then contacted me and said, I don't care, do what you want. She said, I'll call the bank and see if I can get anywhere, but if I don't, it's not my property anymore.
Right, that's what that was her concern.
In fact, we had talked to the title company to see if they could reach her and, or the bank that owns it. And they said, this thing's a mess. What happened was the bank foreclosed upon the property but never recorded it to the county.
That was her only concern, because it was gonna get charged to her, the building, they assessed. She was up, oh, that's not mine, so don't assess it to me. That was her only thing, she wasn't trying to keep property.
I feel like the chief, okay, we already did 4 or 5 abatement. If we take precedent of letting them know that we're doing, okay, we're like backtracking. If we do that to this property, we're gonna have to go back to the other 4 or 5 that we just approved to knock down, clean out, or whatever.
Or change the ordinance on it, and then that's just gonna defeat everything that we're doing here of trying to clean up the community. Yes, you're right, you're correct.
Because I feel they, even if they got the letter, was hand delivered, they got it in the mail or whatever, they've been forewarned what is gonna happen, and they had X amount of days to come and say, we're gonna clean it, go ahead and knock it down, or whatever, but I
Yeah.
feel that they had enough forewarning that this is gonna happen to it.
So, yeah, the bottom line is, I think we've done our due diligence with the town. I mean, obviously, I have a feeling that we're gonna approve this, because I think it would be fair to not approve this.
Like it says it right there. That it, let it further be resolved that if the owner, occupant, or agent in charge of the building does not commence the remedy of the property from being an attractive nuisance to children, a harbor for vagrants, or criminal or immoral persons, or as to enable a person to resort to committing unlawful or immoral acts, or file written objection with the municipal clerk within 10 days of the publishing of this resolution, the municipality shall commence destruction. So they actually have 10 more days to respond after this. This is the final straw. And this will be posted on their property, and we can mail it to them, and we'll be publishing this in the newspaper. So they still have 10 more days. Yeah, they have 10 more days to
Yeah, because I mean,
make a deal. This is our final. Hey,
that's
we're
good,
doing
that's
this.
good,
We're
because
doing
then at
it.
least they get another chance to call you and say, hey, wait, hell, I could be out of town and have somebody picking up my mail, and just because they signed for the certified letter doesn't mean that I got it. It means if I come back from wherever, vacation or working, and
On a certified letter, doesn't the person that's going to have to sign for it? The person
Yes,
that's going to.
that's correct. It can't go to anybody else. It has to go to the person that is the owner of that property, unless they have a power of attorney from somebody else to accept that letter. So it
my
is
daughter sends my
defendable
river
in
letters
court.
all the time.
Other Bay Air Mountain,
Just
public
saying.
section.
But yeah, I get it, as long as there's that to give 10 more days, just and everybody's kinda getting pissed at me, but I like the greens, and I just don't think that it's, and that's my opinion.
They're getting a total of 70 days, and if they work something out in between that time frame, then the code enforcement works with the individual to try to correct the deficiencies. But it just, it's just one of those deals that by law, we have to follow procedure in order to move forward. And 70 days is plenty of time to do something.
Even just contact,
Yes.
make a call, I mean, how hard is that, not that hard.
And this is gonna be, after we approve it, signed or
Correct.
whatever, it's gonna be sent to them certified return
You
receipt.
guys put on their property,
And posted on
and,
the property.
and.
Yeah, posted on property. It doesn't get published until Friday, so they get an extra 3 days.
I want to just show you something here in reference, since we're talking about this abatement. These are notices that we initiated for the purpose of these situations. If you want to look at them, it applies to vehicles. These are pre-notices that are going to go around to people violations. So we're giving them pre-advance, letting them know, these are the violations we observed. You have so many days to contact the ACO, take care of it, and we'll work with you. They're being posted, which is part of the law, and then that way gives them time to say, oh, I didn't know I was in violation, so I'm gonna work with them. If they ignore this posting, Then from there on, we go on to the procedures of abatement, the registered mail. If they do comply and then we stop, then we go back and talk to them and say, okay, you know, you started something, are you gonna finish it? No, I don't wanna do nothing, go ahead, do whatever. Then our next step is enforcement, where we actually cite them into court on these violations, and then they can argue their point with the judges there and decide how they're gonna work on the fines, because these fines are pretty high, they're like $300 a day if you don't comply. So we're initiated this right here to let you know you're in violation, fix it, you don't wanna fix it, and you ignore us, then we're gonna keep going step by step by step till we get to this.
I know about the cars in the house, but do we have ordinances for high weeds?
Yeah, there's a lot of ordinances on
We have it in town?
on the town for where you have property that's like your junk, your weeds are high, fire hazard. So when Steve is driving around and myself, we're looking for all these hazards, because you gotta remember, if people have junk in their yard and high weeds, and there's a fire, then your neighbor's house is gonna catch on fire as well, so by.
And not only that, but I mean, in this last fire that happened over here by the, by the bridge, we had multiple firefighter injuries, hurt arms, hurt legs, because they're falling over debris trying to battle these fires. We had at least 3 injuries this past fire.
That doesn't, yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, why are you trying to, I can see if it's somebody like was living in that home, but like, why are you putting firefighters at risk trying to stop
So we
something?
have to put out the fire.
Yeah, what's more important, firefighters going home or firefighters being hurt?
What do you say, that we don't fight the fire?
Well, what's the threat? I mean, I don't know, what's the view of, you know, what's, firefighters going home or not? That's what I'm looking at.
I want them to go fight that fire,
Yeah.
if it's next door to mine.
Yeah, exactly, what's the threat? And if you have another house right next door, yeah, we're gonna put out that fire, but what's the threat of that fire going anywhere we're down there?
People go down the weeds and everything, down to the house that's right there to the north, and then get all the, railroad,
They catch it this way, P&M sign control.
yeah, that's what it is.
I mean, there's,
If the junk is cleaned up out of the yards though, then the firefighters have less chance to get hurt from.
every situation is different.
The injuries had nothing to do with the fire. The injuries had to do with the mess in the property. And that's what we're trying to go after.
Especially it was in the middle of the night.
Yeah, a lot of that's just like, the way I'm looking at it is values at risk, what are the values at risk there?
When I was requested to do those reports, I did go out and physically inspect the sites. I checked for structural defects to the property. I wrote the report. I took photographs supporting all of the documentation so that you could see the mess, disrepair, structural defects of the properties. For example, 500 South Roosevelt. If that caught on fire, with the way the prevailing wind blows, it'd take out the whole block there.
The whole town.
It would take, because of all the weeds and trash and what have you. And people would get hurt trying to fight or even contain the fire.
I'll pass this to you guys. I just, I know we did a thing on for cars, you know, not leave them out in the street, and then now we're doing abatements of property. But I'd like to see it where we have it for, you know, all of the rest of the stuff that's on here, some of the other stuff that's on here, like the high grass or weeds. I didn't know we did that. You know what I mean?
I don't know if that's an official ordinance yet.
Yeah.
That we may actually.
Because if I got one of these, it was high
So
grass.
I know
weeds,
that-
I wonder, you know?
I know that
There you go.
Philip, Fire Chief Phillips, has been wanting to do that for quite some time. In fact, he wanted us to model after Bosque Farms, because Bosque Farms has an ordinance on high weeds, and I think it's, I want to say that 18 or 24 inches off the ground. If it's above that, that's considered very dangerous. And
I mean, I'm wondering, like I said, as we're talking now about it, junk in your yard, what's junk to you might not be junk to me, you know, how you see it might not be how I see it. Just wanna know, what are we really looking at, what kind of ordinance is it, what is it really saying there? What's the verbiage, what's the language? Cause you can pass by my house and say, I don't like the way you live, we're gonna find you.
I know for the zoning ordinance, in terms of junk, as long as it's covered up by a fence, not visible, they're free to have junk in their yard. That's the zoning.
I have those couples, what do they call it? Wire spools. You know, that can be jumped.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I believe it's still their constitutional right to have junk,
Let's get
but
back
they have
to
to block it off.
let's get back to the amendment of 323 supplement.
Yeah, this is
We were on that, we were talking about that, it was all related. I don't feel like I was off subject, I felt like I was asking questions about it, but okay.
Your motion?
I make a motion of the resolution 2019-22, abatement of 323 South Limit.
Once again.
A motion by Juanita, second by Adrian, roll call, Richard?
Four.
Adrian?
Or
Juanita?
Four.
Ernie?
Four.
Okay, motion passes. Next item on the agenda, approval of promotion of Steve Bernauer, Animal Control Officer. That's going to actually be tabled until after executive session. Well, if you guys don't mind.
I make a motion that we table approval of promotion of Steve, animal control code enforcement until after the executive session.
Second. That's what they do.
Okay, motion by Juanita, second by Richard, roll call, Richard?
Four.
Adrian?
Four.
Juanita?
Four.
Ernie?
Four.
Perfect. Police department head report.
Prevention, that's what we try to do, prevention. The crime report for the first part of June is officers responded to 25 calls for service to include animal and code enforcement. Officers issued over 18 citations for the end of this month. Officer Torres 6, Lewark 6, Martinez 6, Steve Bernauer, you went down today, 0. And most of these citations have already resulted in PA fines paid in full. Everybody's going to court and paying their fines, which is a good thing for the municipal, keeping Judge Riley busy. We've had 2 burglaries and 1 larceny reported for the end of May. We do have some investigations going on some possible suspects. We had that suspicious fire call, which this Saturday resulted in destruction of the abandoned mobile home, Highway 55. We were going to proceed with a possible arson, but the owners at that time requested, since nobody lived there, that the state fire marshal not be called. Unfortunately, once the scene is left and the fire department leaves the scene, we cannot call the state fire marshal to come back because of new evidence destruction and unsecure. So that was not a fault of anybody, but that's just the procedures. This property is part of a court case for non-compliance of codes, and as I understand, the owners were cited, and we're going to court on it, Thursday?
There was a criminal complaint filed, and the court date was tomorrow at 10 o'clock. There was, out of 2 of them, the owner of that property, it was postponed by Judge Riley until June 10th.
So they've asked for a continuance on, I guess, maybe to try to figure something out. Due to the fact that what we're talking about and what we have happened, that is the reason why the code enforcement, that's why we're going at it as hard, the way we are, because we want to prevent that. We want to stop that fires from happening. We want to stop the druggies going into these abandoned houses and using them as drug houses. It's unsafe for the community, it's unsafe for the public, and that's why Steve has done an excellent job in doing this and getting all these properties abated. And unfortunately, some of the owners have been working with us and some just don't care, so we have to proceed. But that's what we're trying to avoid, is problems like that. Item 4, we got with Department of Corrections They came down a couple of days ago, and we did what we call inspection of homes. At any home in Mountain Air that is where an individual is sponsoring a convicted felon, somebody getting out of prison and they're on parole, the Department of Corrections has the authority to go into that home without a warrant. And when they do so, they always involve the police because at times for officer safety and sometimes where they find weapons, drugs in these houses. So a lot of the parolees that are currently here in Mountain Air are being put on a very, very strict inspections, and the Department of Corrections has asked us to assist them every time they come down. So excuse me, end result, we arrested several wanted felons from other counties that were escapees that were hiding out with the local parolees here, and we took them into custody. So that was a good thing that it worked out for everybody. The administrative report, animal control, impound, as I understand, it's what, 1 complaint, 11 complaints, 3 animals running at large. Steve issued 3 compliance letters. Officer Matt Martinez is attending an advanced crime scene investigation course in Torrance County, which will give him at the end of his course completion 40 advanced training hours. It's one of the best courses that is offered in the state. The sheriff's, SP, DA's office are all attending, so it's a really good course.
On number 3, is everyone everyone's up for that? You talked to Steve and everything? On number 3 on the administrative report? Or should that be held off?
Well, yeah. I'm glad you asked that. I mean, we'll hold off on number 3 for now due to the fact that we have to get some more information. Item number 4, the Reserve Police Officer Program. I'm a very big proponent of that and trying to get local residents or from the surrounding areas to join the police department. That includes the younger kids, trying to give them like a career type situation. So far, we've been fortunate. I have several individuals that want to fill those positions and would assist the department with all special events and coverage of duty hours. It's a good program. It's a good way for the younger generation, if they decide, if they got into the reserve program and they wanted to be full-time officers, we have a pool of qualified people that can replace the officers as they retire, they leave, or something. We have people to draw from. Training is the same as a regular officer, but it has its different special considerations. They are considered, when they're on duty, reserve officers, they are considered peace officers. They have the same authority as we do to make arrests and do whatever necessary they have to do. So I'm really promoting that, not only in this community, but outside. And I've had some interest with several individuals that would like to take that on. So we're getting our applicants together, and then once we do that, we'll start the process. Item 5, we're pending the approval of the new USDA Patrol SUV unit from the USDA office. This unit would be outfitted in the black and white scheme and put into patrol. So that way we go gradually, we replace at least 1 car per year and get rid of the old cars and end up with the newer models. And this SUV is the Dodge Durango. It's really a really nice car, and it's one of the top models. And it's also less expensive than our pickup trucks. So that's a good thing. The equipment needed to outfit it, the only thing I'm looking at that I'm gonna have to pay out is radio and maybe a few items, but as far as emergency equipment like lights, the controlling equipment, I have plenty of that from previous administrations that bought stuff and never used it, and we have brand new stuff, so I'm gonna utilize that equipment to save money to the town. So it's a really nice thing. I did check, And we need to replace the unit that is being currently used by our ACO because it's aging. This truck is part of the old administration. It's got over, what, 100,000? So
122.
122. She's a good truck, but it's just not suitable for what we are doing for the animals and so forth. So I've been looking around town and around the area of what it would need to buy a vehicle, since the monies for funding are really, really tight and they're limited to law enforcement, about obtaining a vehicle, a used truck with some warranties on it, pickup truck, and then we would add what they call an insert, which is the insert where you put the animals in the back. And so I've been talking to different cities, I've seen if they have vehicles for sale, would they like to sell us something. Right now, everybody's tight. Everybody's like, I have them, but not right now, maybe next year. I need to replace the ACO vehicle. So I looked around and I talked to a couple of dealers locally where we might look at it. And I was gonna ask Dennis on this to look into it about obtaining a loan either through the town funds or a local bank, and we, instead of making an outright purchase, we just rent it. I mean, we make the payments. That would save monies from our other funds, and it would bring the truck into play a lot faster. And the dealers are willing to work with us. They understand we're tight, so they'll negotiate on the price. I found one up in Moriarty, and it was a same truck like we're driving, a Ram 2013 1500, very basic, 40,000 miles, and the guy wanted 19,000. I got him down to 13. So they are willing to work with us just to make, you know, a good contact. So that was just one quote. I'm looking around like Chevy, Ford to see which one would be the best. But I talked to the mayor about it, and I think that we might be able to do something to replace that vehicle. We would sell that vehicle, you know, to get some money back, so.
What I kind of want to do is we have funding in our gas department, as you guys know, so I was wondering, I don't know if it's legal or not, that's what we have to check it in. But it would be nice to pay out of gas for that and then have them pay their payments to the gas company to replenish that amount. So that way it's a zero interest, I mean, we don't pay no interest or nothing, it's just back into the gas. So we're checking into that to make sure that's legal and that's something that we can do, but if we can, I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do that.
We purchase it from the gas line, and then who makes the payments to them?
The gas or whoever would make the payment. So basically, the gas company would act as the bank in this situation and loan ourselves money.
We may have to, at the very least, go through a council approval, so you guys understand the agreement, what we're doing, and that would give us the authority to go ahead and shift funds from public safety to the gas in increments. But other than that, I think it's legal. It's our money, we can do whatever we want to, really. Just as long as we have record that all of us are on board.
So we'll check into that, but that's the plan. So that way we don't have to pay an interest rate. And have to go through an actual payment.
Save some money.
Take some money.
Yeah, that would be. Any questions on any of my reports?
What's, with Martinez's truck that, with the front tire and the back tire flat, it sits up there? What happened?
That got taken care of. The town owes me 2 new tires. And I'll tell you why. Where Officer Martinez had made a traffic stop, there was an old stop sign there that was cut. And the only thing that's sticking out is the stub, that's sharp. So when he came and parked there and stopped the vehicle, he didn't see this little stub sticking up. So as he took off, that stub cut 2 of the tires, I mean, just sliced them. So I can't fix it because it happened on the sidewalk. Those tires were the original tires that were on my patrol unit that Toretta had gotten. Those tires are not even rated for this vehicle. They're not police tires, they're just specialty tires. So what we did is we saved the tires that came with the truck and we put them away. So now we took them out, we changed the tires yesterday actually. So now he's got the regular tires on there. I don't have any plans of putting those fancy tires back onto the patrol unit because the tires that are on there right now are rated for a police vehicle. Because those tires are expensive. Those are like $200.
Was that off the highway though? Because that could be state highway as well.
Well, it was right there by that wood cutting place over here, so it is
That's-
considered our easement.
But I think it's state highway.
That's the guy,
Is it the stop sign there? I'm pretty sure it's state highway, right?
So the stop signs, I mean, the stop sign is ours, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, the
No, not necessarily.
rock on it. Is that the same one? There's like a little rock.
think
Any,
so.
any stop sign off on the highway facing the
Yeah.
roads, that's state highway.
Okay, so then I'll call the state highway and say, you owe me 2 tires there. Everybody was telling me that it was ours, and I'm going, are you sure?
I mean, I don't know, I wouldn't
Yeah.
check, but if it's off the highway, it's more than likely.
Yeah, and we did a report and all that just to, you know, cover it because it's just too expensive to replace
Is it
those
still
tires.
there?
Pardon me? Yeah, it's still there. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
buried in there, but it's cut. It looks like somebody just cut the sign and just left a stub there, and he didn't see it. The other car missed it, so.
So you put back the 4 original tires
Yes,
that
ma'am.
originally came with the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am. So he's back in running. Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I got a question about item 3. I know we didn't discuss it, but is he getting called up for 14-month deployment? What's going on there? Item 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's happening now?
No,
September.
that's pending right now. He's trying to figure out if they might give him an exemption because of the academy. So if that happens, then he won't have to get deployed. But they kind of told him, the day you graduate from the academy, that next day, you gotta go. And that's a 14-month deployment to Egypt. So if that happens, I'm gonna be short an officer for 14 months.
And his probationary period is 6 months or 1 year?
When is,
No, his is 6.
oh, well, 6 months
He
probation,
was
but 1 year.
grandfathered, yeah, actually it's ending this June. Yeah, he was brought in, he was grandfathered in because he was hired before you guys changed it to 1 year. Him and Matthew, they're all 6 months. So I'm kind of trying to prepare for that, and that's why I'm trying to hire the other officer additional, so if that happens, at least we have something, and then if I get my reserves in, then we'll have some.
But this is just talk right now, he doesn't have any orders.
He doesn't have any orders yet.
We don't even know.
That's why they want to talk about it.
Yeah, that's why we're kind of, you know, waiting to see what they're gonna do, but once his orders come through, yeah, we'll use them. I'm trying to prepare for that.
Any more questions?
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Public Works, Daniel's not here. David, you gonna read that? Beginning May 6th, ending Friday, May 17th. Workers on call were Edward and JJ. They read meters of 516 and 517. Number of water line problems, 0. Number of gas line problems, 0. Number of road service, they did potholes on Fifth and Orange, Limited and Highway 60. They graded Dunn to Beal, and they cleaned the ditch on Acoma and Dunn Avenue. 0 sewer problems, 0 odorization injections. They service the employee vehicles, dump truck, backhoe, brush hogs, and road grader. That's always on there. I'm wondering if this is everything off. Swept roads, 3rd Street from Highway 60 to Limit and Forest Avenue to Beal. They service the sewer plant on 5-6, 5-8, 5-10, 5-13, 5-15, and 5-17. Additional work completed. They cut weeds on the north side of town near the high school. Hooked up the water at the rodeo grounds. Dominic came in and took some water samples. And we hauled more dirt to the park. And we took the culvert out of the trailer park on Highway 55 and Sun. And that is Public Works. EMS and Fire Department, we have nothing on that.
Hey, do we have any more flags or are we out? Just a couple that were missing, I think a couple poles.
Do we have any more flags, Dina?
Maybe 1 or 2. Another one blew down just before we closed them today. We're good one,
We good?
That's sleeper, I think.
So we go order a few more, because the ones that are missing.
Yes.
Cool. We might do that. I'll go with you. Finance and administration.
Well, we've been working on the Tyler conversion. Phyllis has been working with a consultant this week. He's actually in office, and it's pretty intense. One of the things that he was doing is, and in fact, you worked with it as well. They did a spreadsheet, basically, of all of our employee information, but it has to be each line. And so each employee has about 6 to 8 lines, I believe, something like that. Well, he kind of scrapped all that because he didn't want to upload a CSV file or an Excel file, and he actually went in, it took him all week to enter each person's information one at a time. And that's why pretty much accounting was shut down all last week, because they were all focused just on this, and at $100 an hour, I was doing data entry, so we're working on that. And then in fact, Phyllis came in on the weekend, worked on the weekend just to catch up all the work that she missed over during the week, so kudos to her, she's legit. Speaking of which, Esperanza did the same thing. She went ahead and took her, the bill, she finally got all the bills done, just all these hurdles that she had to overcome, and then she actually worked over the weekend as well with the bills. So we got an awesome crew there. Those two go above and beyond. They're not just clocking in, clocking out. They really care about their jobs. Tyler Billing, we worked with the billing module consultant, and are getting ready for the Tyler. There's a vendor, right now we use paygov.us for our credit card processing, and Peter and I decided to go with OpenEdge, which is a vendor that offers pretty much exactly the same stuff, same rates and everything, except it's 100% integrated within the Tyler software, and no other vendor does that. So whenever we take a credit card, we swipe it, and it's all processed right inside the Tyler Technologies program, versus the way we do it now, we have to actually go outside and go to a different company. And any other vendor, we would have to go to a different company and still have to juggle these two companies. So it's nice that they make it so convenient and at no additional charge. Economic development, Peter and I went to the Evita annual meeting and came back full of inspiration. And so, yeah, we're gonna start working regionally with all the other communities to create an economic development plan for everyone. And in fact, today I went to Mr. Cog's 5-year plan. Mr. Cog puts out a 5-year plan for regional economic development. That includes Sandoval counties, Bernalillo County, Valencia County, and Torrance County. And so 5 years ago, there was no representation from the rural communities. Well, today it was purely focused on rural communities. And we had a lot of representation. I was there with Myra Procasio from Evita, and we met with, we hung up with Edgewood. Edgewood was represented, and Bernalillo was represented. So we really focused on the issues that we have here, and we were trying to leverage all the powerhouses in Albuquerque to start bringing resources this direction. And so that was just today, and I'm pretty excited about that. NMDOT, Peter and I met with NMDOT and Mr. Cog representatives to obtain funding for our roads to get them chip sealed. We received approval from the panel, but still need to get formal approval. In fact, just before meeting, like a half hour before this meeting, we received, what, $200,000? Yeah, you asked for $300,000, but we received funding for $200,000. We have to come up with another $100,000, but I think we can make the numbers work. And so that's that. An abatement, we've been working pretty hard on the abatements, and so, and we've approved most of them tonight. Finally, judicial report. For the month of May, we've made $1,570 in penalty assessments and court fines. And an MVD report, we made $19,716 with an estimated 72 driver's licenses, 170 registrations, and 62 titles for registrations.
So the NMDOT meeting, we originally asked for $200,000 for chip seal. They said that we need to change the scope of work because NMDOT does not do chip seal, they do asphalt. So they want to asphalt our roads instead of chip seal our roads. They basically, with this year's funding, they want us to put in to get a preliminary engineering plan in place so that we are shovel ready in case funding comes up next year, which hopefully it does, but we're not guaranteed that. But this preliminary engineering report, which we're hoping to probably get like Bohannon Houston, we got to put out bids, but Bohannon Houston knows our system. They've done the water, they've done the gas, they've done everything, so they know our town pretty well. And basically it has to do with not only asphalting our roads, but looking at drainage for, when we have weather, looking at sidewalks, looking at an entire scope of work. So definitely good. We got the email for $200,000. I think I'm gonna email them back to see if we can work it in where we just get that and try to get our preliminary engineering for under that amount, because I think we can. They wanted us to do it for 10% of like $3 million or something.
Well,
like that.
Hannah Houston actually said that's about comparable, what they would charge is 10% of the project cost.
Okay.
So we will definitely put it out for RFP.
So we'll have to see, and then we'll put that in, and we'll get that funding. A few other things, you had pursued the road project through Torrance County. They obviously, I presented you guys the quotes, me and Adrian talked about that. At first, we thought this was the entire town, and we're like, hey, yes, let's do it right now. Where do we sign the dotted line? $88,000. We thought that included the entire thing, because that's what we asked for. We asked for how much it would cost to do the entire town. But that's per mile. So, 12 miles.
So that's a total of all 12 miles, 88,000.
No.
88,000 per
Each
mile.
mile. That's a
And
mile.
we have 12 miles.
And we have 12 miles to do that.
Yes.
It will be 88 times 2.
But we're still pursuing that
Yeah.
culvert with the King Chicken resurfacing, we'll have a road, so we haven't got that yet.
So, roads are trying to be worked on, but, I mean, it's a lot of money, and we don't got a lot of money, so. There was that quote. I'm still waiting on another quote from him about the caliche, like he said, caliche, not you guys received a letter from Steve Sandlin, I'm sorry, Tom and Yvonne Sandlin, thanking you guys on behalf of the Sandlin family for everything that was done by the town. So I included that in your packet for you guys to have. Two things, the light pole on the corner across from the Shepherd right there, we wanna take a guess at how much that costs?
7,000.
Huh?
7,000.
2,000.
11,000?
For a pole?
Yeah, and a light.
Pole and a light for them to, I thought
For them to put it,
For them to come and put it on? $4,000.
$1,000.
I
So,
didn't think it was gonna be that much.
we will put that on the next agenda for approval.
Yes, 1,000, that's it. Pole, light, they put it in, only.
What is that, right?
1,000.
Yep.
1,000.
Good.
Sounds good.
Wire.
Don't put it in the bid.
Yeah, one wire and everything.
You don't need to, right?
Oh, yeah, you guys
You don't need to
okay with me?
Under
approving that?
$1,500,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
$1,500.
All
It's
right.
under
let's do it.
1,500, that's yours.
Get an order.
Well, keep me here at 10 o'clock.
And now that you said that, I know the co-op put our light down at, what is it, Ripley or the wrong place. When is that gonna be moved to the corner
We'll
where
have
it
them
needs to
tomorrow.
be?
What was that?
So that it- I didn't even know if we had a full like we originally requested. Perfect, and then the final thing I'm asking, I'm gonna challenge the council for this, actually. I got $500 from the Torrance County Drug and Alcohol Prevention Education Program to pay for buses and drivers, and I got buses and drivers scheduled to take our kids, all our kids, or whoever signs up for it, to Albuquerque this summer on July 17th, it's a Wednesday. So kids can sign up, and basically, do you remember the old TNT type things? It's similar to that, so basically, it's just a one-day event, we might build on it in the future, but this year it's just one day, July 17th, we'll get chaperones, we'll get kids that wanna go, and it's either gonna be Cliffs, or it's gonna be that main event where they can go bowling and all that stuff, and then like a movie. So we haven't decided exactly on what that is, but that's what we're doing. We got the transportation covered, 100%, no problem there. The issue is, these things are not cheap, and we don't wanna push all kinds of expenses on these kids, especially, some that may not be able to afford it. So what I'm asking for is a couple of donations. If each of us can put in $40, that's $200 that we can put. Huh?
You owe me 10 still.
I'll put in 15, you put in 30, and we put in $40, and that's $200, and then we'll ask for some donations online and see if we can get that. Or I also submitted a request for funding from CNMEC, which they have a meeting at the end of June, but we don't know until kind of the end of June if we get that. But I basically just want to kind of limit the amount they pay to something like around $7 to $10 rather than it being like close to 20 what it is right now. So just a fun summer, get away from Mountain Air, take the kids. And the summer lunch program is providing breakfast and lunch to the kids on that day. Even if we go to main event or if we go to Cliffs, both of those offer meals included in the group sales. So it's a hot dog at Cliffs and a pizza at main event. But yeah, I just want to take the kids out and have some fun. So.
By when? Do you need the money, want the money?
End of June.
by the end of the month.
the end of the month.
Yeah, I'm down for 40.
You want a donation?
I'll donate 40.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll match.
Yeah. Yes, awesome, that's $200 right there, so. We're gonna be raising some money, raising some funds, try to get some more money in there. Like I said, my goal is to decrease that $20 per person kind of thing to more like 10 or $8, so.
It's only 160, right?
It's 200, 5 of us.
Okay, you're gonna do it?
Yeah, I haven't already issued the challenge, I have to do it. So perfect, thank you guys for that, and I'll be announcing all that stuff tomorrow morning and cool. Public input, do we have any public input? Going once, going twice, sold. Alright, do we have a motion to go into executive session to discuss?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss promotion of officer personnel.
Yeah, motion by Ernie, a second by Richard, roll call Richard.
Four.
Adrian? Four. Juanita?
Four.
Ernie?
4.
Alright, as per motion and roll call vote pursuant to New Mexico State Statute 10-15-1, the following matters will be discussed in closed session. Limited personnel matters regarding the promotion of an animal control officer, code enforcement officer. We are in executive session. Motion to come back into regular session?
I saw motion.
I second it.
Okay, a motion by Juanita, a second by Ernie to come into regular session. Roll call Richard?
4.
Adrian? Four. Juanita?
4.
Ernie?
4.
We are back in regular session, excuse me.
Now, I'd like to make a motion for approval of promotion of Officer Steve Bernauer, Animal Control Officer / Code Officer, Code Enforcement Officer, to the next bracket pay
And all probationer.
and off probation, yes, sir.
A motion by Ernie, a second by Richard. Roll call Richard?
4.
Adrian? Four. Juanita?
4.
Ernie?
4.
Congratulations.
Good.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it felt like forever.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Okay, a motion by Ernie, second by Richard to adjourn. Roll call Richard?
4.
Adrian? Four. Juanita? Ernie?
4.